So let's talk about the LeBron extension very quickly. Let's get that off of kind of the plate. So that was actually a really important domino because he was potentially a free agent next offseason if he wanted to be. And the decision to sign that extension now extends the window for the Lakers by one more year and gives them a little bit more certainty and clarity on what they should be doing with this Russell Westbrook situation. Do you kind of track that kind of across the board?
Yeah. I think this puts them honestly more on the clock to trade Westbrook and make a more of a win now move, just because you now have that certainty from LeBron that he's going to be here at least one more year, if not two, depending on what happens with Bronny. Because I think if you're going all in and it was potentially going to, potentially taking on, in most scenarios, they're going to have to take on some longer term money.
Yep.
Some of these, even if trading for a Kyrie, you're probably re-signing him or looking to re-sign him next summer. So I think for them to take on that longer term risk, and they don't have some of their picks coming up. They have certain pick swaps, with New Orleans and stuff. So I think for them to take on that risk and potentially trade 2 draft picks for a franchise that again has because of the Anthony Davis trade, has not had their full assortment of draft picks and is drafted really well, as you and I have discussed a few times. Like their track record's impressive. But of course, when you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, you are in win now mode. And I think that was already the case before the LeBron extension. But this to me is a signal that they've had discussions on the future of this team. I think they're both on the same page that as currently constructed, they're not a contender. And really the only path to make a significant upgrade is trading Russell Westbrook. So I think that is the path that they're going to pursue over the next few weeks. I think they're going to up their aggression in terms of offering, making sure at least one pick is involved, but most likely 2, and trying to get something done with Brooklyn for Kyrie Irving, Indiana potentially with Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. I think Utah is kind of the dark horse here, where depending on what happens with Donovan Mitchell, it's kind of this weird like gridlock right now where you got the whole Kevin Durant situation kind of tying everything up with Brooklyn, but then you also have the Donovan Mitchell situation tying stuff up with New York and Utah. And I think if one of those situations gets resolved in the next few weeks, which at least one of the 2 probably will, I think that's where you could see that kind of fall into place for the Lakers, where if Utah cleans house and sends out Donovan Mitchell and just enters a full rebuilding mode, then I think you could see, Bojan Bogdanovic and Pat Beverly and Jordan Clarkson maybe to the Lakers for Russ and Russ and 2 picks, but maybe one of the picks has heavy protections or like a pick swap or something. But some type of deal where Utah recoups some assets and just kind of sends out players that they don't really need. And then for the Lakers, it's not really moving the needle, but I think it's better than the status quo because I think they're short on depth and kind of top tier talent. So at least in that scenario, I think you're increasing the depth of near the top of your roster. So I think the LeBron extension was a big domino. It really was. Like the 2 pillars of the offseason were going to be LeBron's extension and Russ's situation. And so far they're 1 for 2 and things going well. And I think the next step is really just going all in on trading Russ and making the best of it, because they also have to get someone to take him on, right? Because I think a lot of the talk about the second pick is, whether they're willing to include it, but you also have to find a team that actually is still willing to take him on, even with a second pick involved. And that's not a certainty right now.